Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 everybody. Bienvenidos. Welcome back to another recording episode of Dual Lens. We are so excited that you're here. So, tonight we're going to be diving into a great topic that I know it's going to be a blessing for your life. And I'm asking you right now that you share, you like, you comment, and just join in a great conversation with us. And right off the bat, we have Mr. Ulises. How are you, sir?
What is going on? What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for joining us on this Tuesday night, February 24th, 2026. Next week, we're already going to be in March. 2 days after that, it's going to be April. A week later, it's going to be end of summer. And then in about 2 months, it's going to be Christmas, y'all.
Oh, my God.
This year is already flying by. It is already flying by. But I'm doing good, Maria. Just work, just working. Right now, we're dealing with a little bit of chilly weather in Pensacola, Florida, but nothing, definitely not as bad as it was, maybe about 3 weeks ago, where it was like in the 20s and in the teens and all that stuff. So
Wow.
we didn't get no snow like El Paso did, but I was a little bit jelly when I saw all that snow that y'all had
Yes.
back when. So, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And yourself? How are you doing tonight, Maria?
Well, weather has been amazing over here. We're almost in the 70s. Great weather over here, and it's good. No snow this weekend. We're looking forward to some really awesome days coming up. So we can probably go even do some barbecue. I don't know, but I don't barbecue myself, but I don't know. My responsibility is las sodas, la salsa, and the tortillas, and somebody else can do the barbecuing and the master grilling and all that stuff. So,
Is
well,
is anybody frying chicken?
I don't know how to fry chicken. I don't know.
Oh,
There's gotta be, the more I know, the less I know. So, but the most important thing that I want to ask you, Lisa, is the most important thing is tell us about that tree, that Christmas tree. Because I told you, I think people are gonna think that we recorded all these episodes in in one
in
month,
one day.
in the month of December. We've recorded all these episodes in the month of December. So tell us about your tree. Tell us a story about your tree.
I'm gonna do my best not to cry. The tree holds sentimental value.
Valley. All right. All right.
hmm
All right.
It's it's been cut from the enchanted forest
Oh
of
my God.
where these trees, they grow nothing more than about like 2 feet, if that. But it's a full grown tree. It's 150 years old.
Oh my God.
As you can tell by the white, like the white, what I'm saying. And so, this tree is never going down. You know, we will use it to celebrate other moments like
Okay.
Mother's Day, you know, St. Patrick's Day.
You're gonna decorate it green next month.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Those
Oh my
those
God.
important holidays. You know, but it holds sentimental value. So it's just gonna stay right there in that corner. You know, um, and just look cute, right?
All
It's,
right. All right.
it's gonna look cute. What I need to get is an extension cord so I can plug the lights
Yes, we
in
do. You
there.
do need that. You need
So
a little bit of lights there.
yes, so it could be lit up like a Christmas tree. But
Awesome.
yeah, I'm a man, and it's just not going down. I'm the worst when it comes to Christmas decorations or any type of decorations at all. Like my apartment, I have no pictures up, completely blank wall, no nails, no nothing.
Very
Because
minimalistic. Minimalistic.
very minimalistic. And my brain goes, I'm not going to be here long. And the one thing I don't want to be doing is taking the little plaster or whatever they call it, just
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
fill
Yep.
the holes and
Yeah.
like I don't want to be doing all
The
that.
spatula. Yes, that
Yeah,
makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. That
I
makes
work smarter now. See, I just look like this.
sense.
I may look slow,
But you're
which I am for the most part. But I just look like this. So I
yeah.
work smarter, not hard. I think about things before I actually do them. Like,
Good, good, good.
hey, like, you know what? Like, should I, post, put some pictures? No, I'm not going to put pictures on the wall.
Well,
You
let's
know,
get into it. Let's get into it. Let's because we have a lot to talk about today, and people are already coming in. So we have a great, great podcast that we're going to talk about. Can we heal while we're in relationship? And I believe this is a really good topic. I mean, we try to bring different topics, and Ulises is going to go give us an intro a little bit of why he wanted to talk about this topic. And in this season, Ulises has been taking the lead in the topics that we usually come up with, and we'll discuss it. And we do talk about it and stuff. But in the past, I usually bring suggestions, and then we both talk about it. And this, he's taking the lead. So if you don't like an episode, he's a man to complain to. Just kidding. Just kind of kidding.
I take no responsibility for
Yes,
these
yes,
conversations. I got
right. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and start with the intro, and we'll get right to talking about healing. Can we heal while we are in relationships? This is a good topic. So here you go. Hey friends, welcome to Dual Lens. I am Maria and I'm here with Ulises. Quick disclaimer before we start, Ulises and I are not professionals or therapists. We're simply sharing our perspectives, experiences, life experiences, and what we've learned along the way. So this conversation, the conversations that we have, the topics are meant to invite reflection, not replace for professional guidance. But today we are diving into a topic that we discuss a lot and comes up with, can we heal while we're in relationships? So pull up your coffee, your drink, your favorite snack, and let's talk about it. And this is Dual Lens. All right, Ulises, tell us why you chose this subject.
the reason why I chose this subject matter is because um, healing is, you know, it's an understatement by saying that healing is necessary. Like, if there was another word I can use that could truly like emphasize the importance of healing, I would definitely use that word. But healing is necessary. Healing is so necessary in relation as an individual, going to counseling when needed, being self-aware of what you're going through, what you're dealing with, and how you react and respond to things, um, the whole nine. So without proper healing, you will never succeed in relationships. Doesn't
And
matter
when
what type.
go ahead, I'm
Doesn't
sorry.
matter what. No, I said it doesn't matter what type of relationships. You know, today we're specifically talking about romantic relationships. But in any relationship, if you do not heal properly, you will not succeed in that relationship.
What happens when we'll get into the questions, but what happens when you don't want to heal in a relationship?
Jesus. You'll become a cat lady, number one. You know,
There's nothing wrong with being a cat lady.
there's a lot of being wrong with it. Number one, cats are from the pits of hell itself.
Yeah,
Like,
Gina, she's already agreeing with you already. She just logged in and she's already agreeing.
yeah, cats are evil. Number one, like literally, they are birthed from. There's a special corner in hell where
No,
cats are birthed
no.
from. But no, being a cat lady, that's definitely or a dog lady, that's definitely inevitable because you ain't gonna have nobody that want to stick around you. For men, you're gonna have, you know, you, you'll be sitting there in your underwear playing PlayStation till you're 75 because you just don't have nobody that wants to be around you if you don't heal properly. Um, so it'll be a lot of resentment, a lot of bitterness, a lot of disappointment. Some would fall into some level of depression because they're trying to figure out why nobody wants to be with me, why nobody wants to be around me. But what they always say is, if it's always the other person's fault, that's an issue. It's a problem. nobody wants to be around that, so yeah, so there's many things that can happen if you do not properly heal. Many things that will, for sure, and if this is like, one of the things I always tell people when I have a chance to talk to them or counsel them is, a lot of people, because they don't want to heal, they'll go back to what's familiar.
Yes.
They will go back to what's familiar. And when they're talking with somebody who challenges them, they will back away, they will run away, they'll have a whole bunch of excuses, they'll ghost or do whatever the case is, because they don't like to be challenged when they don't want to be healed. And being healed, or in that healing process, you will be challenged without a shadow of a doubt.
Right. So let's dive into it. What is it that we have to do, or in order to manage the healing properly in our relationships?
The first thing that I really want to to really talk about, on my end, Maria, is the aspect of the what's the right word to use, that that we can't look at the surface level of this thing, right? Like, we have to really dig deep. And so there is truth that, when I'm single, when I'm living my life, go anywhere, do anything that I want to do, how I want to do it, then I can go about life thinking that I'm healed from certain issues, healed from certain things, because nothing is challenging me or nothing is in my face, 24/7. But the moment I'm in a relationship, relationships will expose what singleness tries to hide.
Oh, you want to explain that? That sounds good.
For sure, for sure. Relationships expose. So when I'm single, I can think that I'm healed, right? I can think that I'm healed. You know, um, I'm not worried about, who I have to call or who I have to text or whatever the case is. I can do my thing. But when I'm in a relationship, what happens when that person doesn't text back? Right? Am I healed in a way where it's like, oh man, like, my thoughts are going, I'm starting to get anxious because what if they want to leave? Or what if they're already planning an escape route? Or what if they got somebody else already? Now I'm just the side piece at this point. Like, am I healed from the whole aspect of anxiety? Because, and I've heard it said before, but relationships are mirrors. Relationships are mirrors. They don't create my triggers. What they do is that they reveal them. If that makes any sense. So if I'm going to be in a relationship, then I have to understand that what my singleness was able to hide, what my, living in that solitude living, what I was able to hide is going to be revealed in a relationship. So, but if I'm not healed properly, I could look at that and be like, oh man, like, I thought I was healed from that. Because I've been there. Right? I've been in situations where it's like, man, you know what? This happened. And I thought I was healed from that. Like, I really thought I was good. What happened? Like, healing relationships happen when your triggers are when when something happens and you and your partner talk about it instead of it being weaponized. Right. That's a good, healthy sign that you're in a good relationship where my fears are spoken, my fears are heard, and they're not scrutinized. And here's the kicker: when my patterns that we talked about before, when my patterns are confronted and not justified, Like if you are going to be in a relationship where when you are healing with somebody, and that person you're with is not holding you accountable or holding the mirror to your face, then you probably are in the wrong relationship, or at least not in a good one, because you will never heal from and you will never get better if the person that you are with is not holding you accountable. For those in the comment section, can we heal? Can you heal while you're in a relationship? We would like to know.
Absolutely. One of the things that that I believe that when we start dating somebody and we start getting to know them, as time goes on, you start seeing the real person, the real, not the so to produced person. Because sometimes we tend to be really produced and really aware of what we do, what we don't do while we're in a relationship. So this is one of the reasons why I believe that when you're dating somebody, you have to give it time. You have to give it time so you can see the person going through. I always say, I want to see you go through several seasons. I want to see you be mad. I want to see you disappointed. I want to see you when things don't turn out the right way. I want to see you going and when things are going good, when things are going bad. I want to see you through those seasons. And then once you start really getting to know the person, like you said, those flaws, those things that they're dealing with, they start flourishing, they start showing up. And then you see all that, and then you have to decide, you know, what am I going to do about it? Do I see this person and they need healing? Let's say it's jealousy. Let's say it's one thing that I was talking to somebody earlier, and whoo, she deals with jealousy, and
Mm.
she's okay with it, but once she starts being in a relationship, it all comes out. And
Deal breaker.
yes, and she's telling me, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? But at the same time, if you really love this person, and oh, we got people saying hi. So hello, Bridget. Hello, Gina. Hello, Tati. Pablo, everybody. Melissa, if I haven't said it, hello. But like I was saying, when you're in the relationship, it start exposing all these things. For example, this jealousy and everything. So you have to decide as the person in a relationship, am I going to hold space for you to heal? Because me and you, Lisa, have talked a lot about red flags. We've talked about when a red flag is not really a red flag, but is just something they need to work on, that we can wait. So all these things, we have to be very aware that when you come into a relationship, and we've talked about it, can you heal while you're in a relationship? Yes, but we got to set the standard that you have to do the work on it. My part in the relationship is giving you space for the healing, holding space for you, and possibly kind of just holding your hand while you go through this, and encouraging you while you start healing, while you start going through the therapist, while you start going to a minister, while you start doing, just holding space and holding your hand and just being there for you while you heal. But there's also that boundary when you have to say, I cannot stay in this relationship because what you need to be healed of, it's not happening. You're not getting the help you need. You know, I see that you're dealing with some stuff, but I don't see you getting the help that you need. When is the time to say, you know what? God bless you. I pray that there's healing, complete healing comes over your life, but I cannot go down this path with you because I either not strong enough, because your craziness triggers my craziness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you trigger me so bad that I'm going to start dealing with stuff I didn't want to deal with because of you. So yes, I believe you can heal, but I am so adamant that we make it clear that every person that is going through stuff, you need to do the work. You need to heal. You need to recognize it, heal, get the help you need, and understand what you're going through, and go get a professional help, because your partner cannot be your therapist. And that is one of the my things that I have dealt with in the past. Can we be transparent? That we start dating, and we start talking, and we start just sharing feelings and all that good stuff. And all of a sudden I find myself becoming the therapist. And I don't mind holding space for you. I don't mind discussing certain things. I
But
don't mind
every
pointing you in
day,
the right direction. I don't mind pointing you in the right direction. I don't mind holding space. I don't even mind praying for you if we have to go through that. And then you might say, but if you love me enough, you will. Yeah, if I love you enough, but that don't mean I'm going to go down down the pit with you,
a rabbit hole. That's a
down,
rabbit hole.
just down the cliff. More. There's have to be some boundaries when it comes to healing within the relationship. Yes, I believe you can heal. Yes, but I also got to be aware that how much am I ready? Am I prepared to deal with your craziness? Am I prepared to deal with that? Do I have the patience for it? Or am I going to make things worse? And a lot of times we say, no, 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 I can do, I've done it. Uli says, oh my God, we've talked about this a lot. When that guy is really good looking and I'm really in love and it's in all those wonderful, I think I can handle it. I can handle it. It's happened to me in the past. I can handle it, whatever, I can handle it.
Mhm,
But then what
mhm.
happens? He don't get healed, and here I am holding space for him, holding his ego, holding his pride, just encouraging him every day, and it gets tiresome, it gets worry,
It gets old.
I mean,
It
it
gets
is
old.
exhausting because then I build resentment, and then I don't love you anymore. I'm just your therapist, and I'm just waiting for the exit sign to I'm out of here. You want to read Bridget's comment?
Yeah. Bridget says, you don't want to bleed on people that didn't hurt you, and vice versa. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it really goes into, that that you heal, that you can heal with someone that, or you should be in a relationship where you can heal with someone, not because of someone. Meaning, I'm joining in with you, because if anybody says I'm completely healed, that's your first indicator to run, because not everybody's healed from everything, but
Nope.
you're healed, but you are healing, which is fine, right? So when you get into a relation, and yes, it can and will drain you for sure. So when you're in a relationship and you were like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm healed in this area, healing in other areas. There might be some stuff that I don't even know that I'm not healed from that may pop up. But be patient with me, or whatever the case is, and you agree with that. Cool, wonderful, great. But as Maria said, if that if you watch the patterns versus
Yes.
what they say, that will tell you everything you need to know. So because again, your partner's not your therapist, your partner is not your surgeon, right? They can't go in there, open up your heart, take out all the bad stuff, fix it, put it back in, and sew you back up. Like, they are not your surgeon. They're more like, for those who've been to the gym, go to the gym, or seen the gym, in Facebook, right? Um,
I've seen the gym in pictures.
seen the pictures. There's a thing called like spotters, like gym spotters, right? Where if you're lifting up weights, there's somebody that's watching, making sure that the weight of it doesn't
Oh,
crush
that's good. I
so
didn't know that.
yeah
Tells you
so
I don't
so
go.
it's basically like you have a gym partner, and y'all work out together, which is what a relationship is, or y'all working things out together. They spot you, you spot them, and if the weight gets heavy, then it's the job of the spotter to kind of help you lift up that weight. Not completely take it from you, but just put the hand underneath the bar just enough for you to keep lifting. So they're not doing the job for you, but they're
Mm,
helping you with that whole process. So for those who've had trainers, right?
yeah.
Their job is to motivate you, right? In relationships, we're supposed to encourage growth. We're supposed to provide safety. Hello, men. Any men out there? We are supposed to provide safety in relationships. We're supposed to offer reassurances, right? And last but not least, man, like we have to be able to model what healthy behavior looks like. What healthy behavior. We're not, we're not screaming at each other.
Yeah.
We're not raising our voice. We're not, raising our hands. We're not flinching. We're not the things that can be that are considered abusive in relationships. Like that's not what we're doing because the one thing that we can't do is, or the one thing that we should not do is try to fix your attachment wounds. I'm not here to fix your wounds. Like the one of the biggest traps that we fall into is that we try to be the other person's savior.
Oh, yes.
Oh my,
Uh-huh.
and I can fix you. Like no,
We do that. We do. I do that. I mean, no, I don't do that, but I have done that in the past. Like I can fix it. I can fix it because you cute.
I'm guilty. I'm guilty, and it happens to be the crazy ones, happen to be the most cutest ones.
Right? Hello.
And so there's crazy and there's cray cray. Crazy, cray cray is crazy, because I believe everybody has crazy in them.
Yes, they do.
It's just really dependent on what type of crazy you're willing to live with. That's what it boils down to. You can love me all day long, but can you tolerate my craziness? And if you can tolerate my craziness, then you know what? Come on in, let's hug it out. But it's just one of the things that I'm not here to fix your attachment wounds. I can't fix you. I cannot save you, and I am done trying to save people that really don't want to be healed.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it in I want you to, I know you're not speaking for all men, but if you can kind of speak to the fact that why is it difficult for men to recognize that they need healing? That this conversation about healing is easy for women because we're very in touch with our feelings, and if something bothers us, we'll tell you, and we tell everybody who listens, we'll tell the people in the grocery store, we'll tell the mailman, we'll tell everybody about our feelings and stuff, and we're really good. But men, I see it's very difficult for men to open up and say, hey, I'm wounded, I need to talk to somebody about this. I mean, I'm very impressed when I see a man that is open and honest and says, you know what, I need help.
There's a couple of things without getting into all like the details and nuances of it, but this is just my opinion on certain things. Men were, a lot of us were trained that pretty much that strength was defined as just being silent, right? That it's better for me not to talk about this stuff because vulnerability is tough, right? Some women, I want me a vulnerable man. And then when they get a vulnerable man, oh, why are you being such a baby? And you're not being man enough, right? So there's that whole aspect. So a lot of us, for some reason, like silence is just better for us than to be opened up, because it goes down to, the whole aspect of, that my emotional language was not built properly. I come from my parents are Puerto Rican. My dad had a rough upbringing, where his father was never loving to him. The first time that my dad heard the word "I love you" was when he was 21.
Wow.
And this was after that my grandfather had a major stroke. So imagine, my dad get into a relationship with my mom, they get married, years later they get saved. But just because he got saved doesn't mean that he wasn't, that God automatically healed all of his issues, right? So growing up, but my dad was tough. And this is how you handle stuff. You don't say much, you don't complain, you just deal with the mess, and you're pretty much, your feelings really don't matter much, because at the end of the day, it's got to get done. It's got to get done. So that's definitely one of the things. So a lot of men will tell you that it's hard to open up because of how they've been treated before
Mm.
when it comes to being vulnerable. Um, Upbringing has a lot to do with it. The way a lot of us, there's a lot of men that didn't have a father figure, right? So they grow up angry. They grow up, womanizing. Well, there's a whole list of stuff. Because again, me admitting that I need healing means that I have to admit that I'm not strong,
Mm.
and that's tough for a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough for a man to tell the woman that he loves and is designed to protect. Like, baby, like I'm really not that strong. And in our minds, one that affects the whole relationship, right? So, but for a woman, it's like, no, like I get it. In this area, you need healing, but that doesn't affect the whole relationship. But for us men, it's like one size fits all. Like, if I'm not strong enough, then I'm not strong enough to lead. I'm not
Mm.
strong enough to protect you. I'm not strong enough to guide you. Then, what if, because it's happened to me before,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable, 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 and then they take that vulnerability and use it against you. They weaponize it against you in an argument. That's happened to me plenty of times. So it's
How
like,
do how do they weaponize the vulnerability or your how do they how does a woman do that?
uh, um,
I'm asking because I maybe I have done it and I don't know I'm doing it.
like a good example would be, or just my personal example, a moment of transparency is, hey, I struggle with pornography, right? Had issues with it for a good while before God came in and did his thing. When I finally admitted to my ex-wife, like, hey, like I really need help.
Mm-hmm.
This is not da. Okay, okay, yeah, 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 supportive, until we got to an argument.
Mm.
Well, you have no self-control. Aren't you a minister? Aren't you a pastor? Aren't you a man of God?
Mm.
Like that's an example of ways that woman will use your vulnerability. This was a woman who was in church. So you can only
Wow.
imagine somebody who doesn't care, you know, about church and morality and whatever the case is, so
That,
or just using situations, from your past, and again, just weaponizing that against you. It's and men do it too. So this ain't just a woman versus man. That's like, men do the same thing as well. Where and women are, by nature, they're just more vulnerable, more the more emotional beings, whatever the case is, and men know how to exploit that. Men know how to exploit that, and really, cause a woman to fear instead of, have reverence, or respect the relationship. They have a fear of the relationship more than they have the respect for the relationship, because men know how to use that fear, or they use your past against you as well. So, so
do
it's just
do you think more men would open up if women would know how to hold space for healing and respect that healing?
absolutely, absolutely. There's, believe it or not, ladies, there is nothing there is nothing that a man won't do if you provide that place of healing for him.
Wow, talk about that. Talk about
If
that.
if if your man can trust you with whatever it is that he's dealing with,
Wow.
it changes everything for a man. It just does, because if I'm not careful, I've learned how to function without the healing. If that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Where I still have a career. I can still go to the gym. I can still play ball. I can still go to the movie. I'm functioning. And if I'm not careful, I can mistake that for my healing,
Hmm.
because I'm keeping myself busy. Well, when was the last time that I yelled? Or when was the last time that I cheated on you? So therefore, I am in a better place. But that's not necessarily true. So, it's because the society has brought us to a place where we reward being busy more than being whole.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, hey, as long as I stay busy,
I won't get into trouble.
I won't get into trouble. So therefore, I'm healed, because I haven't gotten into trouble lately. But what happens when I'm alone?
Mm.
I was talking with somebody earlier, and I was like, yeah, like when it comes to this healing and things of that nature, like, one of the things that God healed me from was the need of attention.
Mm.
Like, I had to have attention. And if I didn't get it from the person that I was with, I'll get it from somebody else, you know? And so it's like I went through this whole process of healing, from this thing of attention, because when as long as I was busy, I was fine. I was great. I was good. But leave me alone for a few hours.
Mm.
I'm grabbing that phone, seeing who's not busy at that moment. Let me just send a friendly text message, you
Yeah.
know, whatever the case is, to the person of the opposite sex, because I had that like I need I need to be validated by somebody. Whatever the case is. But God had to heal me from that. And it wasn't from being busy. It was when he had me off to himself. When I was alone was when God actually did a healing. But as men, like, it's not easy to heal, especially when you've been burned before. But that's why we cannot rely on our partner for that healing. Like, we really need God to do his work in our hearts, to do his work in our minds, because without God, we will go through this cycle. And I know I'm being a little long here, but
No, no, go ahead. Go. It's good stuff, because it's really important that you to clarify that, because I really want to give space and time, because we have a lot of women that listen to us, and that's one of the reasons that we're doing this podcast, because I know that for a fact, until I learned how to hold space for that healing, I was one of them that would be not a stumbling block, but I didn't help matters because of my attitude. When I saw the brokenness, I did not help. Instead of saying, let me hold space, let me hold your arm while you heal, let me hold you while you this, I was like making it worse. And my expectation was like, no, you're a man, you gotta, you can't do that, you can't this and you can't that. And I understood as I matured that I was in the wrong. I made things worse instead of, with my immaturity, with me not knowing, I didn't make things better for the healing to happen. I made things worse. Like, so that's why it's important for you to you really to explain to us women that are listening, how important it is for us to be able to hold that space. Because really, we really can make things worse and ruin it. Because we're here to support, we're here to help, we're here. But if we're not taught how to do that either, or we don't realize that we really do have an impact on our husband or our partners, we can just dismiss it.
no, and that's a very good point. And I think one of the biggest things is, like I was in a relationship, and overall it was a great relationship. Um, and toward the end of the relationship, something happened that reminded me of what happened in my marriage. And it, man, it messed me up. It completely messed me up.
Wow.
Where, I shut down. I did the whole, like stuff, things that I thought, again, that I was healed from, right? But got exposed when I was in this relationship. And my reaction to it made the person that I was with feel like I abandoned her, right? Because I shut down, and I didn't know how to properly process what was happening to me, which caused me to shut down. And now she feels that I left her, that I deserted her. I didn't protect her, right? I didn't reassure her. So eventually the relationship did end, and that, I believe, for sure had a big part in it. It wasn't the whole thing, for sure, but it was a part in it, for sure. And so, what I had to learn was that um sometimes that there's a difference between um how to word this, that there's a difference between my behavior of my healing and my belief. Like, I can act a certain way, but when it really gets hard, what do I believe? Right? What do I believe? Like, my behavior is, um, hey, this happened. We're human, right? It was a very humble moment because hey, I'm, I'm, I'm not a unicorn, right? I'm not, Mister Got It All Together.
You don't walk on water and go in the dark?
I don't. But it shocked me. It shocked me.
You're human.
I'm human, but what it did was that it exposed my belief system more than my behavior. Like, what I went through, like, oh, like, I had an eye-opening moment of, I am not healed in this area. Now, when that whole situation happened and everything went down, it is now my responsibility as someone who desires to be healed, to take accountability for that and be like, okay, this happened. I am human. I made a mistake. What can I do to fix this? What do I need to do to fix this? So, my belief had to change. I will no longer allow this to affect me. This happened. Do I feel bad about it? Absolutely. But life moves on, whatever the case is. But my belief system is, I am now in a better place because of it. So if something similar was to happen again in the future, I know how to handle that from a higher level than I was, 2 years ago, whatever the case is, right? So, but it all stems from my belief system. You can have two men go to jail for the exact same crime. They both serve their purpose, whatever the case is. Now, change happens because they're both in the same environment. Like, they can't go out there and rob a store because they're in jail, right? So one has the appearance of change. The other man realizes his mistake, repents from it, gets the help that he needs, and when they both get released at the same time, one is going to go back to jail because both of them, the environment was conducive to their change. The environment they were in caused them to quote unquote change because they could not do the things that they wanted to do. The reason why you haven't cheated on your spouse is because when you got caught last time, she forgave you. Now she's monitoring you closely. So you think,
Yeah.
oh man, I changed.
Yeah.
But no, like you're just trying to find a better way to get away with it. Because the moment you're by yourself and you haven't changed, that because the temptation is not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be somebody out there who's going to want you, married or not.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say no when nobody's looking?
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you say no to the woman, to the man? Can you say no to the drug? Can you say no whatever your vice is, whatever your struggle is, you know, before, it's not going to change the temptation. Like the enemy is still going to, but are you healed? Are you healed enough to say, this will not affect my future? This will not change my belief system that I am who God says I am. Because God hasn't changed his mind.
Mm-hmm.
God's mind hasn't changed. But our belief system has to line up with who God is. And if it isn't, then that's something that we can work on. That's another area of change that we can move into and become better and do better in life. Because again, like beliefs require some level of repetition. Like I have to keep reiterating this stuff. I have to keep reaffirming to myself. I have to be surrounded by people who will hold me accountable, who will hold me true to the things, to the goals and the dreams that I want, because eventually I do want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not going to be healed, then I'm going to be saying this exact same conversation, exact same motivation, exact same, oh, I'm going to be 10 years down the road.
Wow.
Because, hey, what happens? What happens when life hits you in the face? Is your mindset, has that changed? When you're dealing with stuff, when you're going through things, and especially in your relationships.
What would you say to somebody who says, I don't want to open up because I don't want to be punished? What would your advice be to that person that's saying, you know what, if I open up, I don't want to be punished for it. I don't want to, it's painful opening up and getting this healing going. And it's just gonna, I'm gonna lose this relationship. I'm gonna lose this. And I rather just, just hold it in. And those people that are just afraid to say, hey, I'm dealing with this, but it's just too much. I can't handle it. What would you say to those people that are right this moment in that decision? Like, I want to heal, but if I open up, it's the Pandora box I'm going to open up.
Then I would ask if the fear of, is the fear of what? Getting hurt?
Yeah, the fear of being punished or getting
Fear.
hurt, like of losing it all because you opened up because you want to be healed and being vulnerable.
Very good question. My advice would be,
we're not professionals. We're just experienced. We're not therapists.
says who?
Sure.
Says who?
Yeah, this is the school of life that we've lived. We're sharing our experiences and everything.
Yeah, for sure. In my opinion, when because I've been asked that before, right?
Oh wow.
So what I have told people is, number one is use discernment for sure, right? Because I've learned, not everybody can handle your vulnerability.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, relationships is like playing the lottery. You might win it, but then again, you might not win it, right? So it's real, because if you want love, you have to be willing to go through the pain.
Yes, I believe so too.
And that's tough. That's tough to hear, because nobody wants to get hurt. I'm tired of being hurt.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hurting people. I'm tired of being hurt. So there's a fear on depending on who you're talking to, there's a fear on both sides, right? Because I've been in relationships where I hurt people. And I'm like, oh man, like, I had this fear of commitment because what if I hurt you? Right? Or this fear of being vulnerable with you because you might use that against me. And so you have to be willing to just take a chance. It's easier said than done, of course. But, pray for discernment. But be willing to put yourself out there. And when I say that it gets easier.
Yes, it does, huh? It does.
It gets easier, So it's like I can now I can share pretty much anything. You ask a question, I'm gonna be honest with it, because I've learned that if I'm honest, then you have a choice.
Yes.
Whether to pursue or be like, okay, that's too much for me.
And that tells you the type of person that your partner is.
Because because if you're not honest, then I have to, if I'm not honest with Maria, then I have taken her choice away. And that's not a good look either. Because how many times have we been in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
absolutely.
There's one girl, like, when I first met her, I've been divorced for 6 months, whatever the case was. Like, okay, whatever, Come to find out, she had been divorced 3 weeks. And it's like, like, if you would have told me that from the very beginning, we would have had very different conversations. Oh, I was just too scared because I liked you, and I did. Yeah, but now you completely like, look, because if you lied about this,
what else would you like? What else would you like? And Pastor Melissa says, she has a point here. Healing is not a destination. It's a posture. It's about being aware. Be willing to heal with someone, not through someone. Ooh, that is good. That is real good. Because when you, and Ulysses has a real good point, because when you stop being scared about being healed, you become more vulnerable and you become less scared, not more, but less scared. Like, let's go through it. You already went through it and you do it again and you realize, okay, it hurts to go through it. It hurts to talk about it, but there's healing. I feel better. Things are getting better. My perspective changed. And there's so much good at the end of that fear, that God changes, you change, you grow. And I am telling you the truth, that the more you're vulnerable and you say, God, this is what I'm going through, this is who I am, and I'm tired of faking it. I'm tired of saying that I've got it all together. I'm tired, and you just be honest. And even with your partner and somebody you're in a relationship, you know what? Hey, I have this issue. I have this spending issue. I have this anger issue. I have this. I have that. And like Melissa's saying, I'm not asking you to heal me, but in this relationship, this is what I'm facing, and you can see progress as long as you see progress in the other person, and that they're doing something about it, and they're moving. There's progress. There's good. And if you become that emotional space for that person to say, you know what? I'm not saying that I'm going to heal you, but at least you got to be comfortable enough to come and say and tell me, you know what, Maria, I'm going through this. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and he is not comfortable enough to come and talk to me about it, that says something about me, I think. What kind of person am I that you don't feel comfortable to coming to talk to me? What does it say about me? Am I punishing you when you come and tell me? Am I getting mad at you? Am I telling everybody your problems? Am I having attitude? And does that mean, what does that tell you about me if you can't come and talk to me? And I'm not saying I'm going to, heal it, but I'm going to say I'm going to hold space I'm going to hold your purse while you go vomit. I don't know how to say it.
That's a great analogy. Precise and to the point. Here, let me hold this for you. Let me hold your hair up.
Yeah, let me hold your hair while you're vomiting. Yeah, just and even in all in friendships. I mean, I like what Pastor Melissa said. Healing is not a destination; it's a posture. You have an attitude of being healed, wanting to be healed, and look for that healing. So and. Like Ulises was very vulnerable in sharing his struggle. I'm very vulnerable in sharing that in the past, I did not have the patience. I did not have the understanding. I did not have the grace. Wow, I'm sorry. I just like that hurt me. Like that made me realize I did not have grace. I did not hold space. I was not kind. I was not helpful at all. And my expectations of what he needed to be, who he needed to be, was totally unrealistic. I wanted a Superman. I wanted an invincible rock. And that is just not human. And when that didn't happen, I didn't help matters. And that was a relationship that was lost because of my lack of wisdom, my lack of understanding, my lack of not holding space.
Wow.
So we need to start charging each other for therapy, Ulises.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
We're holding therapy. All these people are going to know our business. Woo! But if we're not vulnerable, I mean, if we're not telling, that's one of the things that is very important for our listeners and people who follow us and our content, that they know that when we talk about certain things, we're not talking about because we read something somewhere. We have gone through some of these things. Painfully, we have learned our lessons. Painfully, we have gone through the process. One of my favorite sayings: "You can't teach what you don't know. You can't lead where you won't go, and you can't give what you don't have."
Can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. But at the end of the day, I think for me in my closing, Maria, is if I'm not willing to be healed, then I am truthfully not living in the full identity of who God has called me to be.
Amen. Amen for that. Yes.
God has a plan for your life. God has a calling upon your life.
Amen.
And refusing to heal will keep you from walking in the fullness of who you are. It keeps you from walking in the God-given authority that you have. Like, listen, what you've been through, there are thousands of people behind you that have gone through something similar that needs to hear your story.
Amen. Woo!
And what they can't hear is bitterness come out your mouth.
Ooh!
What they can't hear is anger come out your mouth, unforgiveness come out your mouth, because it will come out. You can disguise it as, I just had to create boundaries. No, honey, no, sweetie. That's bitterness talking. That's anger talking. I was at my old church in North Carolina. I sat in a singles class and just listening. I mean, I was married, but my pastor was teaching it that day. But just listening to these single women. Oh, these men, and it's just like there's a lot of like you could literally take a butter knife and just start chopping, the anger, the bitterness, just because it was just like, and it's like you can tell when somebody is talking from a healed place.
Yeah.
Because number one, God is love. That's number one. And if love is not flowing from the conversation, And in my opinion, it's not God. That's me telling you how this situation made me feel like X, Y, and Z, but I'm not truly healed.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. That is dangerous because God has given you people to minister to that you can provide the healing for.
Amen.
But if I'm not healed, then I'm going to be missing out on many opportunities. So please continue. I know everybody's healing because we're not talking to crazy people. We're not talking to hypocrites. We're talking to amazing, great, awesome people. Continue to heal. Continue to heal and continue to just let God lead, in this process. And don't be afraid to share your story. Don't be afraid. Maria, any last words?
Let's keep moving. Let's keep healing. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. Send this link, this video to somebody who can hear this and can benefit from what we have talked to today. We're going to continue to have some really good conversations, and healing is important. So we got to work on that. So thank you for joining us and being with us today.
Awesome. If you guys haven't yet, make sure y'all like this video, heart this video on Facebook. Make sure you share this video. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and make sure you share this as well with your loved ones and cousins and aunties and that one relative that think they got it all together. Make sure you tag them personally on this video. But we love y'all. We appreciate you guys so very much. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same bat channel. Y'all be safe out there.